At the same time, Dough's best friend, one of his closest allies, was a guy who was in charge of procurement for the entire government. It's called the GSA department. He was in charge of procurement. So in other words, if he bought a computer for the government, or if he bought a typewriter, or if he bought an aeroplane, he was the one in charge. This man's name was Charles Taylor, an American-educated Americo-Liberian. Not Mandingo, because, Doe now decided, hey, things are not working well with Mandingos. Let me get some other people in. Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor said, you know what, this guy's crazy, man. I can't last here. So, for every dollar I make for the government, I'll keep 50 cents. Right? So if I make $1 million, half of it is coming with me. Doe heard about this, that this guy, his friend, is stealing from him. And he was planning to capture him so that he could do to him what he did to Koiwankpa, which is split his chest
open, chest open,
grab your heart,
and drink the blood.
Taylor heard about it. He was told right before, took off to America. Samuel Doe calls Ronald Reagan then. It's about 1980 something, right? Early 80s. Calls Ronald Reagan and says, hey, that thief has just left, he's stolen from the government. He's on his way there. Please catch him. Bring him back. We want to try him at home. You know what that means.
You want your heart.
Charles Taylor, the story goes, is arrested as he lands in America, sent to a prison in Massachusetts. Right? Doe, meantime, his rule is getting worse and he's killing everybody. Paranoia is in the executive man. He's killing everybody and anybody. So, the story goes, Charles Taylor, one night, escapes from prison. Right? From maximum security prison. It's a true story. Escapes. We don't know. Nobody knows the story. Whether he used sheets, whether the guards let him out, we don't know. Escapes, leaves America, makes his way to Africa through Ghana. He gets to Ghana. He's arrested because the Ghanaians don't know who's this guy. What's he up to? Taylor makes a phone call. America says, that's our guy. From Ghana, he goes to Burkina Faso. From Burkina Faso, he ends up in Libya. Colonel Muammar Gaddafi gives him 24 men and training. Right? Comes back from Libya through Burkina Faso, through Ghana. Remember that route I told you about, the triangle?
Yes.
And makes his way into Liberia. It was Christmas Day, 1989. Charles Taylor now, this guy who had escaped from a prison in Massachusetts, is back on land in Liberia to take over. And he sent word ahead from his team. He said, look, we are coming. If you resist us, we will kill you. If you don't, join us. He must have had like 24 men. By the time he made it to to Monrovia 6 months later, the guy had taken over the country. One man, Charles Taylor. So I'm in Liberia now. His story is too. I love that country, man. The history. I'm in Liberia. Oh, by the way, Charles Taylor, surrounded the closest men around him, all had what we called nom de guerres, nicknames. So one of his closest bodyguards was a short guy. He's as short as Messi or Suarez, right? His name was 50. Real name was Benjamin Yetin. They called him 50. One day I asked the guys, why do they call him 50? They said he killed 50 men in his first battle. They called him 50. He wasn't 51, he wasn't 49. They called him 50. Another guy, 300 pounds, big, huge guy. His name was Maxferian Jiba, his real name. They called him Bulldog because he looked like a bulldog. There's another guy called General Kuku Dennis. He loved to slit opponents' throats and just drink the blood. He was cuckoo. Another guy, dark like this table here. They called him Senegalese. I met all these characters. And then one day I asked the guys, what about Charles Taylor? You all have nicknames. What nickname do you give Charles Taylor? They said, we just call him the Chief. Chief.
The Chief.
What? Colorful.
So you are in Liberia?
I'm in Liberia now, right? And we're covering for CNN. It was a huge story. And the rebels are coming and they're approaching and back and forth. and we understand that African Union is going to send peacekeepers for the first time. African Union. This is much later on, right? As I'm driving to the airport so that we can film the peacekeepers, I get a call. I say, my man, is Jeff? Is it Jeff? It's the executive mansion. The chief wants to talk to you. I said, really? What's happening? So we do a detour, get to the executive mansion in a place called White Flower, Congo Town in Monrovia. Charles Taylor's waiting for us right there at the gate. Says, Jeff, he was a performer, right? The guy loved to perform. He knew the cameras. He knew how to manipulate. He says, hey, Jeff, come on in. So what's going on, man? What's happening? And we walked around his compound together. Walked. Another time. Look at me like, you know. Another time we were filming his convoy in the streets of Monrovia. I counted 26 vehicles, including 3 G-Wagons, of which one he was driving. And the rest, there were soldiers outside with Kalashnikovs and RPGs and all kinds hanging out from the doors. 26 vehicles. Many of these kids were young, 8 to 10 years old. And they fought Cynthia's telling me, they fought a crazy civil war back in the 90s. Crazy. More than 200,000 people were killed. Remember when I told you Charles Taylor, 1989, he enters Liberia? It took another 6-7 years before he was made president because there was so much fighting in between. And most of the fighting in Monrovia was controlled by kids, 14, 16-year-olds. Met a young kid called General Butt Naked. You know why they called him that? Because he used to take off all his clothes and only remain with his boots. And that's how he would fight. Gang fighting. Naked.
General Butt Naked.
That's what they called him. Later on, he changed his religion. He became a priest. He called himself Pastor Joshua Bly. But everyone knew him as General Butt Naked. I could talk about Liberia till the cows come home, man. Incredible. Incredible story. Great country. Good history.
A story?
A day.
The Hot Breakfast with Jeff and Jalango.